Okay, so this section has to do with factoring. Okay, factoring trinomials. Some of them will have just the variable like starting with x squared. Okay, and then others will actually have a coefficient that's in front of the x squared when we go to factor the trinomials. Okay, so we did this. We should have done this in algebra. We reviewed this last year in algebra 2. So this should probably still be algebra. I mean, not algebra 2, algebra 1, and then last year in geometry. Try that again. Okay. So this technically is algebra, but the next section that we're going to be doing will be progressively getting a little bit tougher with the factoring. Okay, so we want to make sure we have these concrete ideas about what we do with the signs and stuff like that before we move on to the algebra 2 stuff. Okay, so you're writing this. So if you have a minus and a plus, okay, you're going to say that the signs are going to be the same. That's why same is up above. Okay, same what? So the answer to that question is that right there. That's why there's a question mark. Okay, and then you're going to write this one, and this one, and I'm going to go through it with you and fill in the art parentheses. And then we'll actually go to some problems and practice. So you're just writing those 4 down with parentheses. Okay, some of you are still writing, which is fine. You do not need to write this next thing. I'm just explaining where this plus and minus will go. So if I had x squared minus x plus, this is going to work, so I'm just put this through. So this is what we're looking for. So trinomial that has those signs. So when we figure out what our signs are going to be, you read backwards. Okay. So this would tell us that the signs are going to be the same. Same what? So then I would look at this one. So that means my first one would be a minus, minus. Okay, and then we put our variables where they're supposed to be. Okay. So now this one, if this was a plus plus, okay, we read backwards. The signs are the same. They're both going to be positive. So that one that's on the inside is the one that answers that question. So they're both going to be plus. Okay, now opposite, instead of it ending in a plus, if it ends in a negative, they're not going to be the same, they're going to be different. Does not matter at this point, okay, where you're putting them until you have numbers, okay? So if I had the factors in this way, because we just have 1 and 2, okay, right? Okay, so I'm putting my larger number, when I read this one backwards, my signs are going to be different. And then whatever my larger number is, I'm going to put it behind the sign of my second term. Okay, so we're going to put a larger, and again, it depends on what your actual equation is. But my larger number for that one is 2. I'm going to put it behind the negative. So I would put my larger number behind the negative. Okay, same thing on this one. I'm reading this backwards. The signs are not the same. They're going to be different. So we go ahead and put it in there. And then as we're reading backwards, whatever our factors are that we're using, I'm going to put the larger number behind the positive. So that means my larger number would go here. So that means if I was using 1 and 2, then I would have put the 2 behind the positive. Or here, I put it behind the negative. Okay, so you read them backwards. So pluses means same. Same what? You look at the next one over. Okay. If it ends in a negative, it means the sides are different. One's a positive, one's a negative, and then you just got to, whatever factor you're plugging in to make it work, you're going to put it behind whatever the sign of your second term is. Okay. First one. So number 41, x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, signs are the same, so they're both going to be what? Negative. Negative, so it's whatever that second term is. So minus, minus. Good so far? Okay, now we're splitting up our variables so that they're even. Okay, so if that was an x to the 4th, then I'd put x squared. Okay, but we have x to the 2nd. So splitting it up as x. Good. Okay, now we read this backwards. What are my factors of 9 that add to give me 6? So my factors of 9 are 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. one of those add to give you 17.
3 and 3.
3 and 3. Does it matter where I put it?
No.
No, because the numbers are the same and the signs are the same, so it's not going to matter where you would put it. Okay, so if you write it like this is fine. You might see on the multiple choice, when you go to try to find your answer, they'll have it written like this, because that just means there's 2 of those parentheses, which is what we just took a test on, right? Just to distribute and factor. So, we just took a test on going backwards from what we're doing right now, so if you're ever in a doubt, like, I can't quite remember the signs or where I'm supposed to put things, check it, right? So x times x would give you x squared. That would give me a negative 3x. That gives me a negative 3x. And then negative times a negative is a positive. And then we combine our 2 little terms, and that takes me back. So I know that my signs are right, okay? If you distribute it and check it. No, not that solid. Just right there. Just this part right here. Okay, we good? Okay, next one. Okay, so x squared plus 5x minus 36. So I look at my last one, they're not going to be the same, they're going to be different. Okay, so one's a plus, one's a minus, doesn't matter where I put it right now until I actually plug my numbers. Okay, same thing, you're splitting up your variables in that first position, so it'd be x and x. Okay, now I read backwards. What are my factors of 36 that subtract to give me 5? 9 and 4. Okay. So if you look back at what we wrote on that first page, we said we put the larger number behind whatever the sign of your second term is. Okay, so my second term is a positive. So that means I'm going to put the 9 behind the positive. Okay, so again, you forget, remember you can distribute. So that would be x squared. That would be a negative 4x. That would be a positive 9x. That gives me a positive 5x, so the signs are right, and then a negative times a positive is going to be a negative. Okay, so you can always check it if you're doubting yourself. Okay, we good to there? Okay, next one, getting away from just the variable being by itself. Now you're going to have coefficients in the front. So we can no longer do the read backwards thing. Okay, it's a plug and check thing. Okay, so number 40. The sign stuff still works with the parentheses, but as far as where we put the numbers, we actually have to plug and check. Not necessarily on this one, just because the factors are 1 and 1 and 1. Okay, so this tells me that the signs are going to be different. Okay, so one's a plus, one's a minus. Okay, so this first one, before we used to just have the t or the x. Okay, so you're still splitting the variable like we normally do, okay? But now we're going to have a number in front of the t. Okay, so my factors are 21, or 1 and 21, and 7, 3. Okay, so if you remember this last year, I said generally it's not going to be, unless the numbers are really close to each other, it's generally not going to be the 1 and something. Unless it was like 1 and 4, because those numbers are close to each other, it could be, okay? Generally, they pick this one, okay? So we're just going to plug it in and check to make sure it works, okay? So now my second position, my factors of 1, the only factors of 1 are 1 and 1, okay? There's 1 times 1, there's 1. Okay, so checking it to make sure it gets us back to the original. So 7 times a negative 1 would be a negative. Sorry, I skipped my first one. 7 times 3 would give me 21 t squared. And that one times that one would give me a negative 7t. This one would give me a positive 3t. And then a negative times negative, or positive times negative gives me a negative. So as long as these two work out, then it works. What did that give me?
Switch the sign.
Okay. Gives me the right number, okay, but it gives me the wrong sign. So all you have to do is then just switch that. Okay. And we'll blame this one on, because when I said the factors of 21, he said 7 and 3. So I just put them in that order, 7 and 3.
I put it the other way around.
I would have put 3 and 7 just because I think of my numbers numerically, counting 1, 2, 3. But it doesn't mean that's always the way it's going to be. I would have put the 3 first. But we were trusting Coy. See, let that be a life lesson. Don't trust Coy. Okay, we good? Okay, so the answer is 17 minus 1 and 3t plus 4. Okay, last one. So 8x squared minus 15 minus 2x.
I think it's going to be 2 and 8, 2 for a week.
Okay, what is wrong with this before we even start? It's not in order. Okay, so you don't want to have the factors of 2. We're going to want to have the factors of 15. Okay, so we actually need to rewrite this one so that it's in descending order so we can factor it. Okay, so we want 8x squared and then what? Minus 2x and then minus 15. Okay, so I suggest when you start those worksheets, like look through them, make sure, because otherwise you will sit there forever trying to figure out what 8 and 2 can get you 15 in the middle, and you'll get super frustrated because you didn't write it, rewrite it. Okay. All right, what are my signs going to be?
They're going to be
Positive and a negative, right? Because when the sign's in with a negative, it's going to be different signs. Okay, factors of 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Thank you. Okay, and then factors of 15 are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5, or if you're Coy, 5 and 3. Okay, so splitting that by
Actually, I have something to say. You could have put the sign in the wrong order too.
I could have.
Because usually negative.
I'm always positive though.
That's how negative on the left side is actually at the left or
I
right.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I think
Okay.
it's you.
Okay, so I split out my x's. I'm going to go 2 and 4. Hopefully it's not.
I bet you it's 1 and 2.
It probably will be. Okay, and then I'm going to go 3 and 5.
Oh, that works.
Okay? So checking those two, because I already know this is going to give me, I'm just really wondering if this one's the right one. So it's the 2 outside ones, so that'd be a negative 10x, and then the 2 inside ones, so it gives me a positive 12x. Because that's really the one I'm worried about, because I already know that gives me 8x squared, and I already know that gives me 15. It's the 2 in the middle that I need to know is a positive or negative in the right spot. Okay, so this gives me a positive 2x. So it was wrong, right? I need a negative 2x, so I'm going to switch my signs. See, I always should be negative like Coy and start with a negative. Okay? We good? Okay.